welcome to Real Chicks Rock Presents Real Discussions. I am your host, Michelle Dosver, and as always, I'm super excited to be here. Today is no different. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. We are here based in the beautiful city of Atlanta, Georgia. The weather's been kind of crazy, but today proves to be favorable. Feels like 60 degrees, like 58 or 60 degrees. So we out here showing out. Because 1 minute it's cold, next minute it's hot. It's just the way it is in Atlanta. You got to love it. You got to love it. Like I said, it is Sunday. Beautiful day here. I'm always glad to be here with you guys. But you know what? It is December. You're stuck with me today. I didn't bring any guests in here because, you know, it's this time of year. We decided to do this last year, and we're just going to do it again, where we take a minute to just kind of review some of the conversations that we had during the year, and hopefully you'll be excited and will join us for the ride. But before we do that, I always want to thank the new people that take time, just the listeners in general. Thank you so much, guys, and just hanging out with me in 2022. I couldn't do any of this without you. I definitely want to give a little background for the new listeners so they understand what they're getting into for the next 59 minutes or so. Real Chicks Rock is all about creatively collaborating, connecting, and raising awareness regarding issues that impact us women. Believe it or not, yes, we do this all the time. It's very important to us that we talk about these issues, and not just talk about the issues, but come up with solutions and resolutions and points of actions and give people tools. That's the empowerment piece, when you give people tools to allow them to be better or do things differently than they were doing it before. We do this all the time by way of community service. I mean, we did coat drives this year, back to school drives. We're doing a toy drive. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. And we do it by public speaking, mentoring, and we do it by the arts. We have been blessed and fortunate to partner here with Status Network. Yay! Live TV. We've been doing this now with these guys for years. Thank you so much, team, for allowing me to come in this space and put out a quality show every first and third Sunday. Can't do this show without you. So yeah, let's just jump into it. This is called Year in Review Part 1. You know, when I see you on third Sunday of this month, we'll do Part 2. But we picked, it was kind of hard for us to pick. Yeah, because we like everybody that we bring on the show. And every topic that we have, we really enjoy having the conversation and discussion. So it was hard for us to pick a couple to squeeze into this hour, but here it goes. My first person that I talked to, man, you talk about an interesting body of work, legacy work here in Atlanta. He is that guy. He is Follow the Hat. It is Dre. You know, Drez the Beatnik. We love him and the way that he's a host. He's an MC. He's a poet. You know, his background coming from Philly. He's about Philly all day, all night. But the way Atlanta had embraced him and gave him opportunities, and just being a part of the hip hop culture has really been his staple, has been his mark. And we are so appreciative of him. This is our conversation. Follow the Hat.
Started.
Oh, okay. So give it to me. Paint the picture some more. So growing up in this neighborhood as a kid, what was the music that you were listening to? Can you remember some of the tracks?
In the house, it was always gospel and jazz.
Okay.
And R&B.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until I was able to go outside that, you know, I pretty much discovered hip hop.
Okay, and when were you able to go outside? Strict parents? What was the deal?
Not necessarily strict parents, but an academic household.
Okay,
is what I grew up in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can. You can't really do what you want to do till you take care of what you got to take care of.
Word up. Okay.
School is your job.
Mm-hmm.
You do your job well.
Mm-hmm.
You can enjoy the world.
Okay.
You know, but, if school isn't taken care of, then you know what you got to do.
Okay. Okay.
That's what it was.
So as we're going outside as a kid, you're discovering a different sound than what was resonating in your house?
Yes.
What was it?
Well, the song that actually, I always tell people, everybody has a gateway song. Like hip hop, if hip hop is a culture and it's a drug,
yeah,
music is gateway music.
Okay.
And my gateway drug, if you will, my gateway song was "My Part of Town" by the Tough Crew.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's a Philly anthem. You ask anybody easily over 35.
Okay, yeah.
You know about that song. They know exactly what you're talking about. It's nothing, you know, it's nothing new or foreign.
Right.
You know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And that song definitely resonates with me. So much so, when I had the opportunity to record my live album, I actually did a cover of that song.
Really?
On it, yeah. Yeah.
What was it about that song that just resonated so much with you?
Everything. Well, first off, it was the first song I ever heard that shouted out my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's always dope.
That's always
dope. That's always dope to hear in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you hear in the neighborhood, and then you just was like, when it's my turn, you just want to kind of pay it forward.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. That's what you got to do. Mm-hmm. So how old were you when you heard this song?
Oh Lord. Shoot. 13?
Yeah, I was going to say 12. Looked like 12 in your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's some good stuff. So while we're in Philly, and this is our neighborhood, were we hearing some sounds in other parts of the world, like maybe New York or something that was inspiring you?
A little, like Philadelphia gets a little bit of everything.
Right.
You know, so, you know, and mostly because of the TSOP, like the sound of Philadelphia, you know.
Love them.
Is that magnet that just attracted a lot of stuff. You know, and Philadelphia radio was unique as well at the time. You know, so yeah, I mean, I heard a little bit of everything, like, you know, everything from Rapper's Delight, you know, to Rockbox, Roxanne, you know, to NWA and ECE, you know, and all of that. Like, I mean, we got a little bit of everything. Like I said, like Awesome Dre out of Detroit, you know, Luke
from down in Miami,
you know, Space Sound, and, you know, and even pre-Outkast Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? We're talking like Raheem, talking Shy D.
Yeah.
All of that made its way up to Philadelphia.
By the way, Shy D is from my block. Shouts out to government named Peter Jones.
Yes.
Coming from Bronx River Projects. What's up? So I want to talk to you a little bit about high school. Did you get to infuse more of this hip-hop sound for you in high school? No, still on the academic journey.
Well, for me, growing up, I sing in choirs.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, since I could talk, I was singing.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, choirs and singing groups.
Yeah.
Things like that. District choirs.
Yeah. Well, this is a shift. Like, this is a change, and I'm trying to get on. How do we get from singing in choirs? And you are a very intelligent man. You're very smart, academically smart. We sense that, we hear that in the way you articulate in your communication skills. So kudos to your parents by instilling that to you in an early age. And then being able to sing and being in these groups. I'm trying to understand, when did we transition into this love of hip hop? And how did we get to New York? Did we ever spend some time in New York?
Well, to answer the first part of your question, actually, I mean, I've done a lot with regards to R&B. I did, and I say a lot, I mean, as far as my bucket list is concerned.
Right.
I wrote in soul music. I got placements. I sang in local groups. I won talent shows. Things like that. But as I started to grow and develop into my consciousness, I came to the understanding that R&B couldn't satisfy those urges.
Understood.
You know, those needs. Like, it's kind of hard to fuse Malcolm X and Luther Vandross at the same time. You know?
Yeah, I know that's right. Yeah.
So, you know, you have to give up one in order to embrace the other. And at the time, hip hop spoke more to what I wanted to say than R&B.
Okay.
Keep in mind, don't get me wrong. When it's all said and done, I still want to be Venus Flytrap. I still want to play slow jams at the end of the night, you know. But you know, for the time being, I just felt like I could attempt to provide more of a difference.
Okay.
Through this video.
Do you remember the song or the era that really awakened your consciousness? Was it Public Enemy, or was it a little earlier in the hip hop era?
It was Stetsasonic. It was Stetsasonic.
Okay.
It was earlier than that, like Stetsasonic.
Yes.
And if I'm really dating myself and dating what I was exposed to, we're talking Douglas 3,
yeah,
the Lost Poets, we're talking Gil Scott Heron, Brian Jackson,
yeah.
Almost Lost Detroit, like that was some of the stuff that was playing in my house.
Okay.
So to be able to hear that frequency and messages outside of home, and then also like late 80s, early 90s hip hop, when that fused with jazz.
Yeah.
You start hearing jazz samples and things like that, and it's like I'm listening to this music, like, oh, that's blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
yeah.
I'm not even worried about the songs. I'm identifying the samples. My friends are looking at me like I'm weird. I'm like, no, I'll be right back. I'm coming back with the record. Like, listen, this is it.
You had it.
Yeah, this is the Mighty Quinn.
Right.
Like, this no, that's just Leaders of the New School.
Right,
no. That's Ramsey Lewis.
Wow.
So I'm doing that.
Wow.
And, I guess I'm crate digging before it became
a thing. Word up. Yeah, you were. And it's amazing because your fabric was already starting to be entwined just based on the R&B, the jazz at home, and then here's this thing called hip hop, taking it to a lot of James Brown being sampled, a lot of that. But the jazz side for us, honestly, was hard for us to, we like that, but if we didn't listen to it like you did in your house, we wouldn't have known.
Right.
So here it is.
Yeah.
So now you feel like you got a platform. Now you're starting to feel like this is a home for you.
Yeah, like it started feeling familiar.
Yeah.
And the energy was right.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, get out of here. It wasn't.
Right.
It was very embracing.
Yeah.
To me, which, you fast forward 30, 40 years. That's the thing that's lost the most. That that all-encompassing history lesson. That's super important when it comes to any and every tradition. Oral, written.
Yeah.
And musical. Like, you need that. And right now, I hear a lot of cats in my generation become the disgruntled old.
Yeah, come on, Drez. Yeah,
like they give the energy they got when they were the youngins' age, and it's like, well, but you didn't share it. You didn't share it, so how can you be mad? How can you be mad if you were just selfish?
Welcome back, people. Yes, follow the hat. That was a dope conversation. If you want to see it in its entirety, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Real Chicks Rock, so you could get all that conversation and that vibration. So listen, earlier this year, if some of you remember here in Atlanta, we were threatened with snow early in January. So I think it was like MLK weekend. And of course, third Sunday of the month, that's when I typically do my show. Well, no snowflake was going to stop us. We was able to do the show via remotely. I was safe in my home. And so were my beautiful guests, some beautiful farmers in the north part of Atlanta. I'm talking about like Atworth, like way up top, like far north. And they have their own land, and they were so inspirational and so motivational, and they were teaching us the importance of why it was important to grow your own food, your own product, your own produce, your stuff on your own land. And it was generational wealth. It was generationally taught to them. It was their family, their grandmothers, they seen people in their family do it, and so they took on this legacy. So it was a great conversation. So here it is. Farming, how we grow and glow. 9:30 this morning with the sleet and the rain, and now it's starting to stick. The northern part of Atlanta is getting hit harder than us here in the city. Like, I'm close to the airport, but my guests today are north of Marietta, and they're like, "No, it is really starting to come down. We're just praying that we still have power," and we do. So
That's right.
We are so excited today. Let me just give a little background for my new listeners about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. Real Chicks Rock is all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women. And we do it by way of community service, public speaking, mentoring, workshops, and the arts. And as I was sharing with my guests here today in the green room, we have been blessed to be doing this particular platform through this podcast and talk show for over 6 years. And so we're super excited because we continue to bring good, informative information and topics for our listeners. And today is no different. Today, my topic is farming, how we grow and glow. And I have the beautiful couple of Key and Kenyatta Mandela. Hi, guys. How are you today?
We are wonderful.
Good,
it's us.
good.
We are the Muendas.
Muendas, yes. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm so glad that you guys were able to join. And like I said in the beginning, that the environment, the weather conditions are not as favorable, but we're bringing the sunshine in today with this conversation. So let's just get right into it. Where are you guys from? I mentioned that you guys are located north of Marietta. And, so that's like 30 minutes of Marietta. So you guys are like way up north, correct?
Yes, but where we're from is a little bit different from that. And I'll start because I'm a native Georgian. I'm a native Georgia peach. Of course, there's not a lot of us around anymore, but I was born and raised in Polk County, which is on the Alabama-Georgia border here in Northwest Georgia, a little town called Rockmart that is primarily known for having been a rock quarry center in like the early 1700s and 1800s, around that time. And that's where I was born and bred and raised. I'm a good old country, no red lights, now many red lights, of course, dozens and dozens of years later. But that's me. I'm a red dirt country girl.
And Kenyatta, where are you from?
And I'm from a much different background. I'm originally from Cali, California. The Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland, the big city, urban. So from being from the big city, I always appreciated the country. I didn't come down south, but we used to go camping and do things outdoors. So I appreciate the country. I appreciate nature, and just being able to be in tune with the earth. But it's a lot louder in the city, a lot more noise, a lot of sirens and all kind of things going on.
Yeah. So how did you guys, what kind of foods did you eat as kids? Kenyatta, for you, coming from the Bay Area, what were some of the foods that you ate as a kid?
Well, my parents raised me on like a lot of organic foods. We did eat pork growing up, but it was like far and few between. But a lot of whole grain stuff, a lot of just natural foods. And so like 100% juice, fish. My family is originally from Louisiana, Baton Rouge, so Creole, we had gumbo. And then my mom is Filipino, Chamorro from Guam, so we have Pacific Island food. That's how I grew up. Good food. There's not a lot of fast food, not a lot of processed food at all. It's just good home cooking, just in a different way.
Yeah. Key, how about for you? What were you eating?
I have to just just come right behind that, and I know that for us growing up, it was the same thing. We were farm to table before farm to table was a thing, and before it was, marketable. Coming from a country area in the way that I did, my great aunt had a large farm. My grandmother and all of her sisters, they grew up gardening. They grew up farming themselves, coming from a sharecropper background. Growing your own food was something that was that it was just common. You know, that's what you did, especially to kind of supplement, you know, what you would have to pick up from the store. So I grew up beans, greens, tomatoes. We also ate pork originally growing up. My great aunt, they farmed hogs. So, you know, we had that experience of being little kids and seeing them, you know, take care of the animals. And then all of us little kids would kind of stand around, and, you know, my grandmother and her sisters would be making sausage literally like right on the spot, you know, doing all of these things in order to, and putting up food in the smokehouse, just wanted to make sure that all of the families, you know, would get a portion of, you know, the hog that they killed and some aspects of it. We also, of course, were fishing all of the time. There are a number of creeks that are in the Rockmart and Polk County area. So if someone went fishing and they came back, then, you know, you ate whatever the catch was. Most of the time that was brim. Occasionally it would be trout or bass if someone went to a lake. A lot of times it would be crappie. So that's what we grew up eating.
Mm. So farming was always in your family. It was
Absolutely.
It like, it was their primary source of income. It wasn't just a side thing. This is what they did, your family, to bring, you know, revenue into the house.
Some of them, yes. Some of them, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, so this is awesome. So you've been doing this. You knew what it was since you were a little kid. So you've been eating properly. When did you decide to stop eating pork, and why? Because I think for some people, that's the thing. Like, you know, they just say, I'm going to stop eating it. And for some, it's religious reasons, personal beliefs. Sometimes it's health. But for you, Key, what was it for you that made you say, I'm not going to?
For me, it was primarily a health thing. And I, you know, did the journey like in high school, you know, and doing some education and being, you know, reading a lot before I went off to college. Then I made the choice. And so I didn't eat pork for about a decade, about 9 years. And then, I mean, for lack of a better word, I kind of got bored. And I said, oh, okay, you know, well, I'll incorporate it. I liked bacon more than anything. So I was like, well, I'll eat bacon every now and again. And then I you know, after a couple of years passed, it was like, you know what, now there's better turkey bacon options, beef bacon options, you know, so I moved away from it again and haven't returned. It was primarily spurred by a health, you know, component, just because it was so integral to our childhood and to, you know, to the Black experience overall, especially in the South. You know, it's like, hey, you use that thing from the rooter to the tutor is the way that my big mama would say. And there was no waste. And it was just a part of, you know, the life with regards to seasonings and to a lot of those traditional food ways. And in moving away from that and, you know, starting to incorporate healthier ways of living, healthier modes of cooking, then we've just been able to not look back.
Awesome. For you, Kenyatta, you came from a very organic type of food with your family. Did you have any challenges when you moved to Atlanta? Because, again, we're in the South and people like certain foods. Did you find it difficult to find like-minded people like yourself eating and moving the same way with foods?
Not too much. When I first came to Atlanta, I was in the West End.
Okay.
So there was some people that are more conscious that eat good, organic foods, just they're more mindful of their body and their spirit and their mind. So it wasn't hard to meet people like that. And I stopped eating pork in '94, so I find the places that are good and the people are there. So you meet people that eat good when you go to places that are organic or that are healthy for you.
And the West End still is that community where that's where people go to tap into organic living or eating, the lifestyles, different quality of food, people that are growing their products, selling it, you know, on the side, or just that's where you want to go. The information where you want to change your lifestyle. And it to me, it's still flourishing. It's more and more people walking in that type of awareness and knowledge. As you discovered while we were talking in the green room, that there's more and more of us that are really starting to embody just eating better and cleaner. So I want to ask you guys, how did you guys collectively get into farming? How did it happen for you?
Well, once we started dating and then eventually starting to live together, then he's like, okay, you've got an entire acre. And at the time I was growing in containers and I wasn't, utilizing the land in that way, like most homes have a lawn. And so it was just, we'll keep the grass nice, have your nice decorative trees. And I was growing tomatoes and peppers and herbs in baskets and in containers and not even thinking, okay, you've got literally an entire acre of land that has hardwoods and there's, a lot of natural herbs and wildcrafted, type herbs and traditional medicines that grow here, as we discovered, in time. And he said, we should be working the land. Like, let's move away from the containers and get into the ground. So Kenyatta was really the impetus for that.
Yeah, wow. Way to go. Yeah. Way to go.
Yeah, so we we decided one time to try it out, and so I built some beds and we got the soil, we put in soil, we put in different like compost, and everything we did was always natural. It's just we really had to work the ground because it is rocky soil. And we started planting, and we planted seeds by hand. What was the first thing we planted? We planted some okra,
tomatoes, corn, radishes. Just in doing studying and really relying on, for me, a lot of the things that my big mama and that I gleaned from her and from her sisters, because I can literally remember having a hoe in my hand around the age of 5. Six at oldest. I mean, I can visually remember looking over my shoulder and watching the hoe to kind of make sure that I didn't bump myself in the head with it, because it was so much taller than I was, in taking the opportunity to work the land and, dig out rocks and things like that. So once we made the decision to be organic and to really just work on building the quality of the soil, I mean, it was a lot of work and a lot of, physical backbreaking work, because this area of Georgia is known for its limestone, is known for quartz, it's known, for slate and for a lot of those other hard rocks. And trust me, it's here. That's exactly what our ground is. Once you get past the first couple of levels of topsoil, which was probably brought in by the developer, then it's just rock and it's stone. So we've had to collectively build the soil, we use mushroom compost. We now compost our own. So we have our own compost where we're taking and recycling the...
I'm telling you, listen, that beautiful couple was all about farming, building, growing, touching the earth, touching the ground, believing what they put in the ground was going to be good for their body, for their system, for their community, taking it to market. It is a thing. And, not for nothing, there are a lot of people, even in the city, that are starting to build, starting to grow their own fruits and vegetables. And it just makes them feel better. Just being able to connect with the earth and the things that they're putting in their body is helping them leaps and bounds. I'm telling you. So great conversation. Feel free to go to YouTube and see the rest on that one. My next guest was a really good guy too. I met him because I was out doing some community service work with the Honorable Commissioner Natalie Hall. She was always doing things in the neighborhood for the community, and it was all about cleaning up the area in Vine City. And I met this gentleman, and I found him to be extremely interesting. And I said, I got to have you on the show. And this is something this has been something that he's been doing for his family, just really to honor his mother. He wanted to make sure that the streets and the neighborhoods that his mom had to walk through would have a sense of dignity. Like he didn't want her to walk through anything that had garbage or dirt or filth or anything like that. So my next guest was all about cleaning up the neighborhood. So the topic was keeping the neighborhood clean. Here's my guest, Chad. Check it out. Long weekend for most people, but we are here. And I just want to thank all of the new listeners that are checking us out. Let me just give you a little bit of background about what Real Chicks Rock is all about. We're all about creatively collaborating and connecting to raise awareness regarding issues that impact women, and we do it by way of community service, public speaking, mentoring, workshops, and the arts. And we have been doing this talk show platform for 6.5 years, over 6 years.
Wow.
April of this year will introduce our 7th season. Super excited about that. Yes. So today is no different because I have the opportunity to talk to people that I feel that are doing some things in the community, in our neighborhoods, just making a difference by any means necessary. Today's topic is keep the neighborhood clean. And my guest today on the right, I met him, we're going to talk about how we met, is Chad Livesey.
Yes.
Hi, Chad. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
Truly honored.
Yeah. So you are born in Georgia, but not claiming Atlanta, right?
I can't claim Atlanta technically.
You can't?
No, I can't.
No.
Not even. It's Metro Atlanta. So.
Is it?
Yeah. You can't even claim that.
You
so,
can't even
yeah,
claim it. But
I don't try to.
But you're Georgia, so you know what it
Georgia.
is. So
Yeah.
your family, your whole family has been here the whole time?
Yeah, we can. We trace our history back, well, to our namesake. You
Okay.
know, like most people do. Came from England, so we can go all the way back to 1776.
Wow.
With Livesey, because there's a town called Lyve.
Okay.
You know, so it's a long history. But for us as a black family, we've been in Gwinnett County for over 100 years. You know, that we can trace. Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So why Gwinnett? Why not move out of that? You just want to stay there and keep the legacy going?
It's too important.
Okay.
You know, my great grandfather bought 110 acres, and you know, when he died tragically, my grandfather took over.
Okay.
So he was able to split up the 110 acres, and it was split and divided amongst the family. You know, so it is a village, and it's still a village to this day.
Okay.
So I got to keep it going.
And what was your grandfather? What was his occupation at that time when he bought the land?
Oh God, contractor,
Okay.
business owner.
Okay.
We first they were in Chicago, so they came back in the '60s, and then moved to Lithonia. So they were on Bruce Street. I believe they had one of the first black barbershops, beauty salons in Lithonia.
Nice.
And then when the land was divided, they moved to the Promised Land in Gwinnett County, which is just 7 miles away.
Okay. And why is it the Promised Land? Is that something we've called it, or that's what
Yes,
it's
it's just that's been the name of it. Because when you plant something, it's always promised to come back.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a farm, you know. So our hopes are to make it a farm again. You know, bring back that sharecropper, you know, industrious. That's what we were.
Okay. So granddad started some things, and then great-grandfather. Then your grandfather, what was he? Similar? He fought?
Yeah, he fought in the army. He fought in the Korean War. So he barely made it back, you know.
Wow.
There's a whole, you know, he hasn't even told me all the stories.
Okay.
You know, so, but he worked for the post office, retired there, just a pillar of the community, you know, built his home, almost a whole neighborhood.
Wow. And Dad, what was Dad like? What was his occupation?
Dad also fought in the Army, Vietnam War. He was in the Air Force, and, you know, came home he was a cop in Atlanta. That's where he met my mom.
Wow.
At the Omni, so I can claim that.
Yeah,
you know,
okay,
so that's
okay,
Atlanta.
okay,
So they
okay.
met in Atlanta.
Okay, met in Atlanta.
But yeah, I don't know how that works, but they met at the Omni.
Okay.
You know, now it's the Phillips Arena.
Yeah,
you know?
State Farm.
yeah,
Yes,
so,
State Farm Arena. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
That's like 3 name changes now.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, a while ago. Yeah.
It was a while
the older
ago.
you get, it's something. It'll be something else.
So now, what is it now? Your occupation now? What is it that you do?
Business owner. We own a vending machine business, consulting business, environmentalist.
Yeah.
You know, preservationist.
Yeah.
We have a nonprofit that we co-founded that targets litter, but you have to start with litter. You know, and then you can preserve the neighborhood, preserve the history. renovate the homes, and have events for people. So it's a nonprofit that preserves areas.
Okay, and so I want to get into that, Chad.
Okay.
Why litter? Why that? Why did you choose that? Was it something calling to you that you just saw? And that's why I thought it was important to kind of set the stage for people to understand your lineage, right?
Yeah.
And everything that the men in your family had successfully done, and now you're taking on this. How did we get here?
Looking at my grandfather.
Okay.
He was the first to adopt a road that I've ever seen. So I witnessed him, helped him when I was a kid, clean up the whole neighborhood.
Wow.
Cutting grass around the whole neighborhood. We couldn't get resources in the bottom of Gwinnett County, so he took care of the whole everything.
So he just up one day and said, this grass needs to be cut, or there's litter in this space.
Because this was all our land,
And he just went on and started doing it. And that was a practice.
Yeah, I mean, I get it now because it's like a way of remembering your ancestors, people that passed on.
I get it. Yeah.
That's why I do it now.
So that's why you do it now. How long you been doing it, Chad?
5 years.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I moved back from New York because I was in New York. My mom got sick. So I just saw that, the neighborhood was getting trashed. And I couldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
Because I was used to walking, coming back from New York.
Right.
I walked to the train station.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I always had a book bag, so I just put trash bags in it and just started cleaning up. Started cleaning up all around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I just never stopped. I kept going from street to street. I went all the way into Snellville, and then they had to honor me. I got a proclamation from them.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Well, so where did you start? You started.
I started in the bottom of Gwinnett County is the promised land.
Okay.
I'm here to put it on the map. And if you don't know, people in Atlanta don't know Libsy.
Yeah.
But if you go 30 minutes, they will know Libsy. That's where we were. So
wow.
That's where I started. But Snellville is just 7 miles away. Lithonia is 7 miles away. We're in the middle.
You're in the middle. So you just go. Mom was sick. You come back from New York, and you just notice a change.
I just noticed a change. I noticed, there was people moving in that didn't have that connection. They didn't have the history, and they didn't really understand. They may have come from Atlanta. They have to live in Snellville.
Right.
Because people are being displaced.
Right.
So I just knew that there was a lack of connection, and there's trash everywhere, and I wasn't going to let eminent domain happen. We've had some land taken before, eminent domain. So I didn't want that to happen, and I just fought it.
So you're working, Chad, and you come home and you just start picking up, or you just decided this is what I'm going to do,
it just clicked. I've never stopped.
Wow.
Found my purpose. Know why I'm here. That's why I was like, regardless when we met, there's a huge cleanup, but you can't always depend on people when it's your mission.
Right.
For years, I was just by myself, cleaning up. I would drop my mom off at dialysis, clean up the street to make sure she could see a clean street on the way back.
Wow. Wow.
But now, I can have a cleanup and it'll be 50 people or,
That's what's up. That's good. Congratulations on that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. So,
okay.
Chad, you and I, you're right. We met. It was a big cleanup effort. Fulton County Commissioner Natalie Hall, District 4, did something in the neighborhood at Cook Park. And we had met, and it was a lot of people out there that day. I mean, sheriffs, police officers, people from
bodyguards,
other cities. The mayor, the newly elected mayor had came through. It was other city officials. It was a big deal and a big day. It was cold. And you alone, you by yourself, you and your assistant. How many bags did you guys bag that day, just by yourselves?
2 of us, 16 and about an hour and 30 minutes.
Like
maybe.
no time, in like 90 minutes. And so the bags, for those that could see me, the bags are typically like what? Like this? Like that
about
big?
22
pretty
pound bags.
Big, 16 of them
16,
in an hour and a half, just going through. And you guys went off a little bit from the beaten path, right, Chad? You went kind of further in?
You can always find trash just just go off the road, look off the embankment, go the next street off of Main Street.
Yeah.
That's where you find the trash.
Let's talk about that, Chad, because I've been in Atlanta. I'm from New York, but I've been in Atlanta since '89. So I've been here a long time. Don't say I'm a peach.
You can't claim it either.
Don't
But
say I'm still an apple. I'm still from the Big Apple. But I support you in your point and in your observation, because the one thing about Atlanta, Georgia as a whole, city of Atlanta, any component of it, it always looked nice. The green space was always pretty, the trees, whatever exit ramp you got off or on, it was always seemed manicured, it was clean. And certain parts more manicured than others, where you could see people cutting hedges and doing things of that nature. But I totally agree with you, in these past couple of years, it has been totally out of control. And I don't see cities sending departments or teams of people to go out and pick up the garbage. There are people that are displaced, right?
Yeah.
Keeping it real. Like the homeless situation has, it seems to have exploded, and I could be exaggerating, forgive me if I am, because there was a place in Atlanta off Pine Street where most of the homeless people lived in that space. And even if they found homeless people in other parts of the city of Atlanta, they get scooped up and would be taken to that space. Yeah. Ever since that facility had closed down, it seems like there's been a push or an infiltration of people that have nowhere to go, right? That are living on the streets. You can drive in Atlanta today and see tents of people living under the underpass, any bridge, on the interstate, off the interstate, anywhere. And so for them, in order for them to survive, they're on the corners of the ramps. They're asking for money. People are giving them things. They're eating. People are giving them food. And so now we got bottles and bags, stuff from the fast food joints that people giving them. There's styrofoam boxes. It's a mess on almost every ramp. Whether you go in north or south, east or west, you see it. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, how did it get to this space? Chad, what say you? Any thoughts on that?
I would completely agree. Homelessness is affecting so many more people.
Yeah.
Not just in Atlanta though. I mean, I do cleanups all Newton County.
Okay.
I find them, people are living in the woods. People live in the woods. People are living off of Cleveland Avenue.
Yeah.
Every street, every exit.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated issue in Atlanta. Like in Gwinnett, it's not as much because it's just pedestrians throwing out trash or But in Atlanta, it's a layered, complex issue. And I always, when I'm cleaning up in Atlanta, I'm respectful of, people are living there.
Right.
So I'm just taking the single-use plastics. I'm just taking the styrofoam like you're talking about. Not someone's clothes or...
Yeah, right.
Because I wouldn't want somebody coming in my area messing with, But, it's a COVID, but even before that, people have been struggling.
Yeah, yeah.
So, especially when you take away resources, so... there's always a lack of resources, I mean, areas don't look like, Brookhaven doesn't look like Cleveland
Absolutely
Avenue,
not.
So
Absolutely not. No, it sure doesn't.
And it's not hard, when I'm driving down Beaufort Highway, I saw a landscaping crew with 2 people picking up trash. I thought it was a cleanup.
Yeah.
But they were just doing what they should.
Yeah, they were supposed to be doing, yeah. And there was a time I would see gentlemen or guys that were incarcerated, right?
Yeah.
That would be out picking up stuff, at least on the expressways.
They have stopped that because of COVID. So.
How about that, Chad? I'm telling you, he's all about the neighborhood and all about keeping it clean. Again, it's for generations to come. He is a father. He has a beautiful wife. They just want to make sure that they're creating a legacy and try to provide some you know, some consciousness so that we are aware that every time we throw something out of our car, just throw trash to the side of the road, it does have an impact. And we don't want to live in that type of environment. We have an obligation and a commitment to our own neighborhood. So ever since I did that show with him, I make sure that in my own neighborhood, I pick up the trash. My son doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. He's like, Mommy, Ma. But I pull the car over. I have maybe a plastic bag. I pick up some things because I want my neighborhood to feel clean, nice, new. That's what I want. That's the energy I want to come home to and leave every day when I go out. But enough. That's a good one. Be sure to check that one out on YouTube. My next one and final one for this particular hour, as we do part 1 year in review. These people were awesome. I actually found them on Instagram. You know how Instagram gives you people that you can discover or just to kind of do explore. And I just thought, like, these people are like amazing, like jumping double dutch and teaching people how to jump double dutch. And Bernadette was another young lady who just loves to jump rope, and she was just really slick and cool about it. And then come to find out, they knew each other, they met each other because they too were kind of impressed and inspired by one another's movement. So I said, I'm just going to get them on the show. And so this show was called Jump Around. 2 weeks, and we're super excited about that. Thank you so much for the support and the love, and today is no different. I wanted to kind of talk about health and wellness, right? People are starting to move about. We're starting to take this stiffness off of us from this pandemic, being inside for all this time, like 18 months, 2 years. We're coming out of the mask. And it's all about the movement. And I've met these beautiful people through IG. Listen, when you use IG for good, good will find you. I just saw the on the IG app and saw these beautiful people double dutching and jumping around, and I was like, man, they got a vibe. I want to talk to these people. They're hot. And so today, my topic today is jump around, and today I got my guest double dutch aerobics, which is the lovely Michelle and Sean Clark, and then I have Make It Fun NYC Bernadette Henry. Hey! Yeah. I love it. I love it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday to you. Yes, yes, yes. Let's just jump right Let's just jump right in. First, I'm going to start with you, Michelle and Sean. Where are you guys from? Where are you guys from?
Brooklyn all day. That's anybody from Brooklyn. That's how you say it.
That's how you say it.
Saying it like that.
Yeah.
You're not from Brooklyn.
Yeah, you never Brooklyn, all day. And so you said it loud enough so that Biggie, may he rest, can hear it, right? So yeah. So listen, what was it like for you as kids growing up in Brooklyn, right? Did you see this? What was it for you growing up in Brooklyn? Did you see double dutch all the time, or what was it?
We saw a jump rope everywhere, and our parents jumped.
Really?
Like, that's what you did in the summer. I didn't grow up jumping double dutch. I actually grew up messing up the ropes like all boys.
You was that guy. So you were that guy.
When the girls are jumping, I would just jump in. I didn't know what I was doing. I needed us at the time.
Yeah, you was that guy.
I grew up in Brooklyn jumping double dutch all day. Winter, summer, spring, fall.
Yeah.
It was I hated the winter time, but I would still jump outside because that's what you did during recess. Right. And then I even joined the team as a kid. Like double dutch was everything. You always saw people jumping.
Yeah.
That was the norm.
That was the thing to do. Bernadette, slide on in here. Slide on here. Hey, Bernadette. Hey, I am wonderful, you beautiful thing, you. Yes, yes. Bernadette, let me tell you something. We can feel your energy. I just want to throw that out there. And I love the socks. So listen, when you need another pair, let me know. I'm going to send you a pair of funky socks so you can jump in them. So Bernadette, where are you from? Where are you from?
So I'm from the Bronx, New York.
That's right.
Currently residing in Brooklyn, but I'm from the Bronx, born and raised in Harlem.
And so in the Bronx, I know what it was for me because I'm a Bronx kid too. I used to see it all the time, but tell your story. As a kid, did you jump rope all the time? Was it double dutch or just single rope? What was it for you?
Yes, when I was a kid, basically we did a lot of double dutch and straight rope games.
Yeah.
So in the summertime, when you walking out in the street, you see people turning and jumping. So you paid your dues, you turned the rope so that you could earn your jump.
Yeah.
We did that. For school and schoolyard, that's what we did. We did like 2 on time, don't be late, chase around the world, all these straight rope games. As far as the single rope, I don't know when that came in my life, but my early memories were like when I was in the 6th grade, I started jumping rope, and my mother used to yell out the window, stop, stop, stop. So I used to like double under fall. Like I'm a self-taught jumper. And my next memory was like in middle school, we had some random contest, how many you could do in a minute. I did like 240. So that was like the birth of my jumping rope. And then as an adult, I perfected, or my raw talent was developed by 2 professional boxers, and then I took it from there.
Really? Wow,
and
wow.
The boxers that she's talking about, I actually did an infomercial for them.
Really?
Which is hysterical. Michael Olajide, yeah.
These circles are getting smaller and smaller. I was talking to my producer in the green just before you guys came in, and just giving him background about what today's show is about. And he was like saying the same thing, that, you know, boxers just jump rope all the time, and the importance of that. And we negate that, right? Because we go to the gym and work out. I don't really see too many people jumping rope. I bring my own rope, so I jump. I'm a jumper. I am a jumper, but I'm not as good as you guys. I want to talk about that. So double dutch aerobics, let me talk to you guys. So doing this double dutch, right? So Michelle, set the stage for me. You said your parents used to jump. When did you know this was something that you wanted to just continue to keep doing even as an adult?
Well, first my father always said at 4, I jumped in the mirror. I used to jump in the mirror imitating the girls that were outside because I was just too young, even though that's the age that I learned finally. And then as an adult, I was a theater major. I did all kinds of theater. And of course, as you know, when you're an actress in New York, you have other jobs.
Right.
So I was teaching all kinds of fitness classes. I was teaching spin, everything you can name, a boot camp, water, everything.
Right.
And I was working at the YMCA. I had this idea, because mind you, when I used to see kids jumping, I used to feel crazy as a grown person, like, hey, can I get a jump? But it was weird. Like, that's a little inappropriate, you know, messing up the kids' role, but I want to jump.
Right,
you know
right.
So I felt like, he was my boyfriend at the time, and I felt like I wanted to start an adult double dutch class, because I knew I couldn't be the only one with that feeling. And so I told him how good I was, and he was like, you know, he kind of believed me, but everybody in New York says they're really good. So he was like, okay, good, like, everybody in New York is good. And then he saw how good I really was, because we had an event. It was like I think they have like a fair at the Y.
Yeah.
And he saw me teaching people and jumping, and then he was like, oh, you're really, really good. like special.
I went to pick her up.
Yeah.
And as I'm walking to Michelle, she's teaching people in like seconds. And I'm walking to her, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, from the door, from outside to where she was, she must have taught like 10 people as I'm walking to her. And I was like, oh no, you're really good.
She's
really
good.
You need to start your class, because he didn't know. So he was like, you need to start your class, because like you have to do it.
Right.
I started the class the next week, and then of course no one could commit the way I could, and so I needed some help. And then Sean was like, well, just teach me. And at first I was like, I don't know, but he learns everything. And so he's even my barber now. He learned on a So he learned, and then I guess he could say how he fell in love with it, and then it became ours.
Well, the thing was, the goal was, you know, so when we got together, I told her, I promised her that I will make all her dreams come true, right?
Sean.
So I was like, all right, teach me. I'll bust this out. Let's just do it, right?
Yeah.
So we started it, and I was like, you know, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like, my days at work consist of laughing, high-fiving, people screaming, dropping on the floor, laughing, having a good time. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to be around. I think that's what I love about it the most. I love teaching the class the most because of what it does. Like, Michelle and I, we teach at female federal prisons across the country.
Wow.
It is the most rewarding thing you could ever do, to go in a place where there's no joy at all, zero. And then we walking in that room, and, you know, Michelle and I, we bring out energy, we bring it up.
Right.
In the prison, like we did a prison before, we had the COs and the inmates jumping together. If you can imagine. So like that's the kind of energy we bring, and that's the kind of thing I want to do in life.
Right.
Like bring joy to people's hearts. It's my contribution to changing the world, because I mean I can get into that too. As a kid, I always wanted to change the world.
And you're doing it.
That's another story.
So Sean, not only are you making Michelle's dreams come true, but you're making your own dreams come true as a kid.
Yes.
Because you're changing the world. Look at God.
And we're changing the world, and then people see us as a couple. We actually like each other.
Yeah, you do.
We do.
You do. We see it.
We're around each other 24 hours a day, even before we got married.
Right.
Yeah.
So we might as well do a business together.
Might as well.
So that's the whole thing. So I love the fact that even as a kid, right, I always wanted my own business, because I thought it didn't make sense to spend more time at work than at home. It just the concept never made sense.
Right.
So now that's another dream that I'm living.
Yes,
like I get to work with my family. My son turns. My son is like a pro turner.
Our son right here, making noises. The baby.
He's a pro turner. Yeah. If you see me looking down, we have our 9-month-old right here.
Right.
So,
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. We are literally
Man, I'm telling you, I talked to some beautiful people in 2022, man. It was a great year. Michelle and Sean doing great things. I mean, they have been on the road with DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club doing double Dutch aerobics at his car shows here in Atlanta. So it has been amazing for them. Bernadette has been everywhere. I mean, her roster and her bio of work that she's been able to jump in the lives of so many people has been absolutely amazing and tremendous. Hats off to both of them. It's all about what health and wellness. And I say, why put off next year? Like, start now. Like, you know, if you got some space somewhere in your driveway, or, you know, go to the park, jump some rope, like start getting your heart muscles and the blood flowing, moving, because, you know, we survived this pandemic. So we are out here. We are out here in these streets. And so we want to make sure that you guys are healthy and feeling well as well. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. You know me, Real Chicks Rock. I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. We got a website, realchicksrock.com. Please go and subscribe so you don't miss out the blogs that we send out every month. It's all about community. It's all about health. It's all about empowering and inspiring others. That's what we're here to do. But listen, guys, until next time, that's my time. Let me give you this. May you live to be 100, and I live to be 100 minus a day. So I never knew that beautiful people like yourself passed away. That's from our own Frankie Crocker. Until next time, be well, take care, and continue to rock on.